Hello everyone. Today we're going to be doing a ban list prediction video. Probably going to get a ban list this week. Just feels like it, so I have to get this content in before that happens. Otherwise, well, it's not really a prediction then. So yeah, well, I guess we'll get started. If it says off the list, like it does here, that means it's off the list entirely. It's just not on the ban list anymore. It doesn't mean it's not limited. It just means, or not banned. It just means it's gone. Not limited, just gone at 3, fully legal. But yeah, we'll get started with the band predictions. If it's in yellow, it's going to be something I feel like 50-50. Like this could happen either way. Um, and then other than that, if it's red, then it's less than like a 25 or less. And then if it's green, then there's a 75% chance of that happening. But starting off, yeah, like I said with the bands, Snake Eye Ash, I think it's going to get banned. I think it's going to get banned. I think it. Konami's been having a weird little track record with their ban list recently. I think the last one, the December one that was announced in December that took effect in January 1st, was. It was a weird one because, on one hand, Rescue Ace, Unchained, were both particularly hit by that ban list reasonably hard. I think Unchained took it worse than Rescue Ace did, but they both kind of maybe were at a point where it's like, yeah, like you could limit Airlifter. This deck could still be good. The problem was what was coming was so big that it didn't matter. Fire Kings were just like too good of an option. Snake Eye, Fire King in particular, even compared to full powered Rescue Ace, you're probably still going to play. If you have the choice, you're probably going to play Fire Kings, like even pure Snake Eye. So I think and then Unchained is just not even being played anymore. It's essentially you're playing right now. You're in a tier, effectively a tier zero format of Snake Eye varieties. You have Snake Eye Pure and you have Snake Eye Fire King. You choose which one you want to play, or you try to play something that counters it directly, something like Flow Under Rees. Again, a banishment deck, or a deck that doesn't care about the banish zone. Um, Gate Guardian, another deck that doesn't care about the banish zone. Very good counter for Fire Kings. Play that with D Shifter. But yeah, I think Snake Eye Ash is gonna get banned. I think we're in a weird, like I said, we're in a weird place. Konami's kind of in this strange, like, where do we want to go with this? Do we want to like fully, like, they're tweaking things? I think they're I think it's new, but I think it's so strong. And it's also an Age of Overlord card, though. Not a Finny card or a Phantom Nightmare card. So that's another reason I think it's there. But I really think it's 50-50. Most people seem to think it'll get limited, but I could see Konami taking a sledgehammer to this thing. I think it's that strong, and I think Ash is such a strong card in it that I think what'll happen is I think they'll ban it, and then in May or June, they will put it to limited or semi limited. I think they're gonna kind of like what they did with Unicorn, but more harsh essentially. And then Link Amblo Whale. They're not gonna get rid of Promethean Princess fully, but they're gonna do things around the margins. It's like, well, what are they gonna do? Limit SP Little Knight? Like, yeah, they'll hit around, maybe even limit IP Masquerena. Tweak around the edges with those really expensive cards, but like things like Bonfire aren't going to get limited. Diabell Star isn't going to get banned. That's just the reality of it right now. But yeah, I don't think anything's coming off the list. I think the ban list right now is actually pretty. Oh well, okay, nothing's coming off the ban list at 3. Let's put it that way. But I think overall the ban list is healthy. Banned list. So moving on to the limiteds. There he is. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna unlimit Kashtira Ariseheart, or at least unban him and limit him again. Um, I think we're in a weird place here, where Kashtira Tearlaments is different than Kashtira. Both of them are Vsauce archetypes, and both of them Konami has had a very difficult time of hitting like the sweet spot. This is also one that I really don't think is going to happen. More wishful thinking. I would like to play full power Kashtira now that it's reasonably affordable. Um, but um, they've had a hard time figuring out exactly how much to hit these these two archetypes in particular, Tearlament and Kashtira. Tearlament at this point is gone. Like, it would take some unbanning to fix it. But basically, as soon as I got rid of Ariseheart, it came back. And if Ariseheart does come back, Kashtira would probably become the best deck in the format because it would be a hard counter to Fire King. The only thing is he has no protection, so I still think it's not a bad play to re-legalize a riot like Heart at a limited level. But there are other things later in my little predictions here that kind of balance out its effectiveness. Link's Electromite's gonna get limited. It's gotta happen eventually. Can't live in a world without Electromite forever. It does nothing in Master Duel. No one plays pendulums unless you have a weird pendulum like thing. You want to play pendulums, but bringing back Electromite isn't going to make pendulum playable effectively. It's a very good card. There's no denying that, but I don't think it'd be a problem to re-legalize um, Electromite at 1, like it is in Master Duel. Promethean Princess is going to go to 1 though. I don't have Promethean Princess. I think most deck lists play it at 1. It's extremely useful, but I think it's fair at a point where it's like, do you want to be playing, or do you want people to be allowed to play multiple copies of this thing in a tier 0 format built around fire cards? Probably not. So that's why that's there. D Shifter, this is really unlikely, but also kind of likely. I think this could have been yellow. I mean, I made the list, so I guess I could make it yellow. But I think D Shifter is Konami is looking at this and probably thinking like, if we're gonna hit Ash and we're gonna legalize certain cards like Cashier or Ariseheart, again, this is a prediction. I honestly don't think Ariseheart will get unbanned. I think the card is too format warping to be unbanned, at least right now. Give it a couple of years of power creep when Tearlament becomes a weak deck, or at least an average strength deck, then you'll see Ariseheart come back. But D Shifter is one of those cards like it's really, this is a Fluandereeze hit more than a Kashtira hit or anyone else, particularly Fluandereeze, because I don't think they're like looking at Flu and saying like, yeah, this is a deck like we really need to go after M-Pen or Robina. Robina could maybe be a semi-limit target, but I think they're gonna try to play around the margins, tweak things a little bit. I think they're also starting to get a little bit more creative with the limited and semi-limited list as opposed to just straight up banning cards. But I think D Shifter could be a possibility. And then Sacred Fire King Garunix, the um, big new retrain of Garunix. He is going to be limited. I think this is the Fire King hit, really, like the big Fire King hit. Alternatively, Kieran would be the other option. Both are very good. Both are played much more than the other one. Uh, the spell trap negate one. I can't remember his name right now, but I really think that, yeah, Garunix or potentially Kieran is going to get limited, even though they're structured at cards. Spell Branded Regain. I don't think this is likely, but I it's kind of a weird one. Branded is such a strange archetype. You have like the ban list between all three formats, Master Duel, OCG, and TCG, very wildly. But I could see, because of the popularity of the Bestial still, specifically like things like Bestial Runic, I could see this being something that they say, we're going to limit it. We're not going to get rid of it, but we are going to limit it just to see. Again, experimenting. In the end, a lot of the ban list is that. It's experiments. You put things, you move them around and see where things go. And then lastly, for newly limited cards, it's going to be Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. I don't think they're going to ban any of the Sinful Spoils cards outright, like except Snake Eye Ash. But yeah, some Sinful Spoils Wanted, because of the card advantage too. You can get a draw off of it on turn 3 if you use it on turn 1. I think it's going to go at least to limited. And then spells, I think Purrelly, Delicious Memory. I think Sleepy Memory is going to stay on the list. I think Delicious Memory is going to come off the list. Purrelly hasn't done anything in ages. I don't see it doing anything right now either. For one, I think it's, yeah, Purrelly's complicated. Like, it's a tough deck to play. Um, the environment right now probably doesn't work for it very well. Like going second is a nightmare for it. I don't think, yeah, in this format, really, I don't think Purrelly's going to do anything, even if you bring Delicious Memory. It does make making a big Purrely Noir easier, but you still are playing Purrely, which I just don't think is good enough right now. I don't think it needs to have both, like it and Sleepy Memory on the list. And finally, the semi-limited. Semi-limited is a weird list. It's typically around 7 cards. It's been like that for like 4 ban lists in a row, but we're expanding it. We're going OCG brain here. We are semi-limiting a crap load of cards. We are starting the semi-limit list with Kestir Fenrir. He's too good. He's the new Pankratops. Honestly, you could probably limit him. Um, I think you could limit this and Pressure Planet Rate South and legalize Kashtira Ariseheart, and it wouldn't do anything. Kashtira Ariseheart is legal at 3 in the OCG. Fenrir is limited. Doesn't get played. Nobody cares. Fenrir's that good. But yeah, I think if you did this and maybe a semi-limit to Cashteriosis or something like that. But yeah, I don't think Fenrir survives this one unscathed. Even I'm a Kashtira stan, favorite Vsauce archetype, one of my favorite archetypes in the game. I love me some Kashtira, but I don't see it surviving this ban list without Fenrir at least getting something. I think Raitsoth is probably way more unlikely. I think it's more likely that Fenrir gets fully limited than Raitsoth getting semi-limited along with Fenrir. But that's just a thought. Mudora, Keldo, are both the shufflers are going to be um, semi-limited. They're going to go from the limited list to semi-limited list. I don't think tier limit is doing anything right now. I think the Millers were the real problem, like Guido, Gelbeck. Those two are gone away from us and our happiness, and we can do this instead. Diabellstar, she's going to go to semi-limited. They're not going to limit her, but they're not going to ban her, but they're going to semi-limit her, just as a way to say, don't do that. Consistency hits, but not full bans because these are expensive. Exodia, the Forbidden, is going to be semi-limited. He's not going to be fully legal, but he will be semi-limited. In preparation for Infinite Forbidden, he's coming back, baby. Exodia FTK is going to be the way of the future. But yeah, I honestly think this could happen. It's a very long shot thing, but it could happen in preparation for Infinite Forbidden. Is it going to? Probably not. But hey, it's a fun thought. Pot of Prosp. I think it has a very good chance of being semi-limited. A weaker chance of being limited, but a very good chance of being semi-limited. I think Konami has a level of not respect, but at least a level of like, yeah, you paid a lot of money for these cards, so we're gonna give you a little bit. We're gonna do work around the edges, because the reality is they know that if they continually like went and like they would screw both their consumers and their retailers by constantly being like, oh, here's a really powerful set. We've got SP Little Knight in this. We've got Diabellstar, Freight of Overlord, for example. And you get these sets, and then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks, like a ban list later, they're like, oh yeah, those two are banned. Well, you just paid $100 for a copy of SP Little Knight and like $150 for 2 copies of Diabellstar. You're going to be pissed as a consumer, and then as a retailer, you're going to be like, well, this next set's supposed to be a big set for us. Lots of good cards are coming, but our consumers, our guys who want to buy these cards, aren't buying them because they're afraid they're going to be banned in 6 months or 3 months. 6 months is fine, I think, honestly. Yu-Gi-Oh rotates pretty quickly. Like, what, last year? The longest stretch was like a 6 month stretch of maybe a Cashier being the best deck. That's not very long. But that's kind of the thing. I think they have like a level of like understanding that these expensive cards, like as powerful as they can be and kind of as gatekeepy as they can be to like the player base just by virtue of who can afford to buy what, they're not going to ban those immediately just because of that. Not entirely because of that, but I think that's a very much a contributing reason. But I don't think they're afraid to semi-limit it. They did it with Kashtira Ariseheart. They limited him before they banned him, and he was a very expensive card. But I think now the Pot of Prosperity is cheaper. I think they have basically no barrier to just saying we're going to limit this card. Fire King Sanctuary and Pressure Planet Raitso. Like I kind of already talked about Raitso. Both are spells. Both I think have a small chance of being semi-limited. Fire King Sanctuary is a weird one. It could be semi-limited. I mean, if you got rid of Garunix, I think if you got rid of Ponix or limited Ponix, you would need to touch Fire King Sanctuary. But yeah, kind of an odd one. But I think they Fire King's a weird one to hit because it's such a strange environment right now, where it's like we went from what I thought was a really good format, and I think a lot of people agree with that. Was the pre-December 31st format which had Unchained, Rescue Ace as probably the two most powerful decks. Probably unarguably the two most powerful decks. Then you had decks like Purrelly, Makonko, Fluandereeze that could easily have also competed at the time. Um, they might not have, but they were there. Rescue Ace was probably going into the stages where it was going to be the most powerful deck before the Airlifter hit. And even with the Airlifter hit, I think if you put Rescue Ace now and got rid of other things like Snake Eyes, Rescue Ace would be a very strong deck. Maybe the best deck in the format, depending on what else got banned. But if you hit Snake Eye hard enough and Fire Kings, you would probably see Rescue Ace become the best deck again. It was that strong without a hit. So that's why I think you could see it. You could maybe see, depending on. I think one kind of note is that depending on how harsh Konami is on Fire Kings and Snake Eyes, will depend how harsh they're going to be on Rescue Ace. I think they could limit, or maybe semi-limit something like Emergency. I don't think they'll limit it fully because right now Rescue Ace isn't doing anything. There's not a reason to go and hit it, just like there's not a reason to hit Purrelly. Just like you would have a better argument to hit Kashtira actually the way they're performing, or Fluandereeze. But I don't see, yeah. But yeah, that's just kind of some thoughts. Let me know what you think is going to be on the ban list, and make sure you hit the like button or the subscribe button, even better. But that's your free will. You have the radical freedom to choose that. And yeah, hopefully this gets uploaded before the ban list drops. Otherwise, I'll be doing a different video. Bye.